Right, I haven't pressed record my end yet on the audio. How you been? All right?
Weird. It's weird, right? It's just fucking...
It is, yeah, it is. I'll tell you what. Let's talk about this on the podcast. It's a good way to start. I'm going to press record. Okay, we're recording. Sitting opposite me via the means of Zoom. It's my pleasure to welcome Jason Lockey. Hello.
Hello, mate.
Sorry, I just called you Justin instead of Jason instead of Justin, didn't I? Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah.
A great start.
Hello, it's a new one, though. No one's ever called me Jason.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to Off the Beaten Track podcast. Sitting opposite me today is Justin Lockey. Hello.
Hello.
You all right?
Yeah, not bad. As well as we all can be in the modern age.
So, how have you found it? As a human and as a creative.
As a human, I know it sounds horrible, but I've enjoyed the time at home with my kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm a touring musician, and I spend most of my life on a cycle that goes from being away in the studio to being away on a tour, to coming home, and then to going away on tour again. So, kind of, I don't know. It's just this weird little utopian bubble at home.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever spent as much time with the family than every fucker else over the last 2 months. So
it's not just that though. I think I'm in lockdown with my wife and 2 children.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. It's like I would probably sort of chat to my parents maybe every couple of weeks, and it's like I'm chatting to my parents every couple of days now. And,
man.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's the I've got 3 brothers, and that WhatsApp's just whirring away on my phone 24 hours a day of just stuff, just fucking random shit. And when I talked to my mum literally this put her into retirement. So she had a post office, and it was like they were trying to wind down, and then this essentially just wrote a line under it. It's like, right, fuck it, you're retired. So she's been at home and stuff and she's got into TV in a way that she never has before. So now I got because no one was in using the studio. I took her the studio TV. It's a nice TV, you know what I mean? It's just a place where I've got a band in. If I need to do something proper, I'll send a band upstairs and they'll all go on the Xbox and all that and play FIFA.
Yeah. So
I took that TV around to my mum's and loaded Netflix onto it and all that, and that was it.
Game changer.
She went from barely watching telly, watching the news on the night time to she nailed in the first few weeks of lockdown. She did all Narcos, Mexico, all of them.
Proper cracked on, then.
And then Bulletproof seasons 1 and 2 in 2 one-ers. What else did she do? She did something else. Oh, and then she's done the entire Breaking Bad, and she's just about finishing the entire of The Sopranos. Max
in lockdown.
Honestly, she's doing lockdown in a way that I wish I'd done it. so it's good. I mean, I get to chat about crime drama with my mum a lot, and then. But most of the time, it's creating it. I'll create anywhere. I'll write anywhere. So I've got I've not been down the studio much because my brother works here and his missus works for the NHS, so I'm trying to stay away just in case, And so I built a little studio at home. I've been working away on that really.
Did you sort of slot straight into that? Because a lot of the musicians that I've spoke to, kind of said that initially they were like, right, that's it, lockdown. It's my opportunity now to not be touring, and the same with any comedians I spoke to. Right, there's no stand up. I'm going to write. I'm going to do this, and they said, but then the minute it all happened, they just couldn't do it. It took a few weeks to readjust and kind of adapt to everything else before their kind of creative juices kicked in. Was that the case for you, or did you just drop straight into it?
I kind of just dropped straight. Once I set up my little place, where, it was like, right, if I have my little station here, and I've got all my gear about, I've got a guitar lying around, I've got a little amp lying around and stuff, and a couple of mics, and good computer setup with a couple of synths, and I just dropped straight into it.
Yeah.
But I do that anyway because I'm a compulsive workaholic. So to me, it was just like it was a license to go and make more records.
Yeah.
With what I mean. So I kind of structured the day as my wife works, but she fortunately can work from home. So she took the morning, and then just me hanging out with the kids, and I'd cook. Then we'll have a big lunch, and then I'd have the afternoon, and then we'll get together at tea time, and then I'd take the night over the night when everyone's in bed. So I've probably put more hours in whilst I've been in lockdown than I ever have ever. Yeah. To be honest. So it's been good, really good.
All right. Well, let's chat music. Justin, for track 1, I'm going to ask you what you think is the song with the greatest ever intro.
Song ever intro. See, all these questions, by the way, I could have had about 20 different answers.
That's totally understandable, mate.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can change on any day, right?
It's like, oh man, I mean, greatest intro. Oh, where do you go? I mean, but then I thought the one that, if I think about an intro, and it takes me back to when I started being in bands when I was about 13, 40, it's Scentless Apprentice by Nirvana. Because that drum beat on its own, you know what I mean? I mean, fuck the guitars and bass and vocals. That drum beat alone is like a standout section of that entire record. Yeah. I remember like listening to that going to school. We had it on cassette, and then just listening to it. Fuck, how do you play that?
Yeah.
How do you play that? And then all the kids at school who were into music in bands and stuff, all trying to play it on a weekend, like, oh, really hard. Yeah. And it's like, this is just fucking brilliant. Because you went from like kind of pop, like Nirvana Nirvana are one of my favorite bands of all time, and luckily I've got 2 older brothers who were at art college, who were older than me. So we got into them around Bleach. Bleach was a big record in our house. So, going from that to Nevermind, which is just like super pop.
In my opinion, it's the greatest pop record ever made. Nevermind. Every single track's a single.
It's like Dookie by Green Day is a big pop record. It's a massively pop record. There's not really that much edge to it. And so when they come back with In Utero, you're just like, holy shit. Yeah. This is like fucking serious music for serious people. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was great. And it's just those opening couple of bars, and the drums are like, just shows the simplicity. And it kind of also, I'd been listening to Albini records, unaware of who Albini was, from back in Pixies day when my brother brought like Surfer Rosa and stuff home. So it's weird that it's probably the only time where I've ever knew. It's like, I know those drums sound like other records that I know, and it's like Breeders Pod sounds like Breeders, sounds like Pod, and it sounds like Pixies, and it's like, and then it was only, I was 14, I didn't really know much about producers, but I knew who the drums were. Yeah, and I'm like, fuck, this is like, it had elements in that small break on the drums, had elements of all of my favorite records in one go. I'm like, I'm in totally.
It's so weird because I've often had people that have used Teen Spirit for the answer here, and I know Butch Vig said that when he first heard that, it felt like a ton of, when it kicks, like a ton of, like a house had just literally collapsed on top of you. And I think, and it is a big sounding record, but the track that you've just chosen now, I put that on again this morning. It's the first time I've played In Utero for quite a while. I mean, it's heavy as fuck, isn't it?
It's fucking mega heavy. Even the guitar, when the guitar comes in, it's like it's such a metal riff, but not metal at the same time. Like, and you're like, I mean, this is like the heaviest thing in the world, so discordant and horrific,
Yeah.
but glorious at the same time.
Yeah.
And he was like, fuck me, this is a record. This is a proper record. And it's that record alone was like, when I signed my first deal with my old band, Your Codename is Milo, the only person we were going to make that first record with was Albini. And it happened. So I managed to get my first ever like proper record was made by the guy who made all my favorite records growing up.
Yeah, that's a big
like,
box tick, isn't it?
Oh, it was a massive box tick because I just wanted to know how he recorded the drums.
So did you go to the States to do that?
And I sat there and watched him for a wee drums. Yeah, I went to a studio in Chicago and did it. And it was like, you know, it was the biggest box tick of all time.
Because I've got a mate who's in a band called Asylums, and they've just gone out and recorded with Albini. And they said it's like a proper job for him. Like he kind of, you know, turns up, he does his stint, and he's got his boiler suit on, and it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's like I mean, when we got there, when did we first do it? This is like 2003. We got there, and we'd all read stories about him, thinking he was like some mad genius, and he just opened the door to the studio himself in his boiler suit. He's like, "Oh, I'm working on a blues album today, so I'll show you to your like lodgings." He has some like dorms set out in the studio. He's like, shops down there. There's like Burger King stuff over the road. If you need pizza, ring this person, and I'll see you tomorrow. And we're like, oh, all right then. And then, you know, you get up in the morning and he comes through, and he just sits down and watches like poker games and cooking that he's recorded. Has a cup of coffee, watches a bit of them. We all sit around, talk about what we're going to do, and then you're off to work.
God, it's so consistent. Like literally,
do a shift and then smash.
Well, like, my mates that have just got back from recording with him said all he done was watch poker videos. That's fucking crazy. Because he's a big poker player, isn't he?
17 years ago. Yeah. He won some massive tournament last year. Apparently, and it's like, I was like, I'm not surprised. The amount of fucking poker that guy watched when we were there. We were only there for like 9 days or something. And so he does that, and he's got this billiards table. He used to have a billiards table in the like recreation area as well, and he used to have a game of billiards. And then he'd be like, zip his boiler suit up, and off you go. And then there you are, you're done. And it's like, it's such a mad thing, because I think because he has his name attached and he's responsible for kind of all his records sound like they can be recorded today, tomorrow. There's no date on them because he doesn't use all these like dated kind of technology or dated like reverbs and stuff. Like Nevermind sounds like a 90s rock record.
Yeah.
Because it was made on 90s rock gear. Albini's stuff is so simple and so Spartan how he does it that it could have been done in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or now. I can record in Chicago tomorrow and it'll still sound exactly the same as a Pixies record from the late 80s. And that's the thing that when I heard Sentless Apprentice, you know, that was like 6 years after that Pixies record. Like it was recorded at the same time as but it wasn't. And that in some like nerdy kind of way is like a timelessness to all his records. And it's like, and it's weird. And he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, he's not there to produce your. He literally couldn't give a shit. He's like, I'm an engineer. I press play and record. And I put the mics in place. What you do is up to you. Do you know what I mean? And that was great. Absolutely great. So yeah, Sentless Apprentice. Although it's just a short drum break, it means to me it's like instantly presses all the buttons on all my favorite records. All time. Sure. I mean, obviously, it's very kind of fucking you're up like a polka. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, what's going on? So
perfect. Yeah. Perfect way to start a playlist. Track 2, mate. The first thing I remember hearing that you had an emotional impact on you.
Yeah, right. Again, and this is I'm just even looking at it now. Right, this version, this is "Happiness is a Warm Gun" by the Beatles, but I'm talking about Breeders' version on their first album, Pod. Again, recorded by Albini. I didn't even think about that when I was writing this down. But I heard it, and that record is probably in my top 5 records of all time. Pod. It's a slice of. It's just a fucking perfect record for me, and it holds a lot of like childhood, early teen memories and stuff. And
I was going to say, you must have been sort of early teens, because when that came out, I was playing that in clubs, and I was only sort of 18, 19.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the thing. It's like me having 2 older brothers. All of this stuff was on in the house all the time. So music to me growing up was, what I thought was pop music. Because I didn't know any better, and but it wasn't. It was alternative college rock from the late 80s to the mid 90s. So, which is, I just naturally gravitated.
Yeah.
But even to now, it's what I'll listen to. It's my go-to. You know what I mean? And I remember hearing Afternoons the One, and it doesn't sound like anything else on that record. I'm thinking, oh man, this is like, it's a mood. It's a proper mood. Like had a really weird mood to it. And there's loads of really like techie kind of time signature change kind of things going on in it as well. But then I went over. My dad lived in America, and I went over to see him one summer in like a few years after that. And my brother, who I was over there with at the time, took out his copy of the White Album and then played this song. And I was like, whoa, what's this? You know what I mean? Because Beatles were never really part of that early kind of being into music, because it was like, fuck the Beatles, we've got Sonic Youth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is a masterpiece. Knowing that, I was thinking it was a Breeders' tune, and I had no, pre-internet, I didn't fucking know it was a Beatles tune.
Yeah.
And the Beatles version is fucking glorious.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. And that fucking totally, I think the emotion of it was, it's not about who records the song, it's about the song. It's the first time I ever got my head around that someone could take a song that someone had written, do it in a different way or do it in their own way, and it still have the same impact on you. Because that's the beauty of songs, not tunes, not records, but a actual song. And it just blew me away. So
you mentioned your brothers would be playing music in the house. Like, I mean, from very early on, was there always music on at home? Was your folks playing music? And
my mum never played music, and it was purely my brothers. And it was only when my oldest brother went to art college that this. I kind of remember before then it was like music didn't fucking matter. It was computer games. We weren't a musical family. Nobody played an instrument. I think I actually remember the Christmas we got a fucking hi-fi, and it was like we were quite out. It was like it was not something that had been around the house.
Sure.
It was like it was a big deal. It's like, fuck me, what's this? What do you mean? And then, and then from then on, I think we got it, and it was the first thing we got with it was 3 Feet High and Rising by De La Soul.
Oh, mate, what choice!
And that record, I mean, I put that record equal up there with the absolute greatest records of all time. Mm-hmm. Unskippable from start to finish. Mm-hmm. And then I just remember from there on, it was all about music then. It was like, my brother was coming home with like De La Soul 7 inches, and on top of that there was like just then the Wedding Present singles and stuff like this. And like,
so that would have been the time around then when the Wedding Present done the one single every month. Am I right? Or was it
that came just after? But when that came, me and a mate, when I was in my first band when I was like 13, 14, and a mate of mine, Tom, he got all them singles.
Yeah.
We went into I'm still a little bit obsessed with it. Wedding Present was the first show I ever went to see in 1993, and it was a Leeds, so a hometown show, sold out show at the end of, I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what tour it was on, but it was like December 1993, Leeds Town and Country, sold out, wedding present, and they had Girls Against Boys in support.
Nice.
Right? And I'm like, 13-year-old, mad into music with my mate, and we were learning guitars and shit, and we were like kicking around in the garage. Proper old school way of starting a band. And we were obsessed with Wedding Present. And Tom's dad, Bry, who was like a really liberal teacher, took us, and he's like, right, you lads go down the front, I'll stay at the back, have a beer. You know what I mean? And I just, it was like a transformative experience. I'm like, Wedding Present I'd heard for years, of my brothers playing all their records and stuff. And we were getting to that point just as the Hit Parade stuff was like full flow. And I remember us going into like an Andy's Records or something like that the week after and going, we need to get every one of these singles. We need to get every one of these singles. And asking for the display. Because the display had all the empty 7-inch covers in it back then. And my mate got it. Got more.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like Nirvana, Wedding Present. To us, they were. I mean, you know, I know they were like gulf in between them, but to us, they were all part of the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. The first time I saw the Wedding Present, do you know what? I think I saw Cinerama before I saw the Wedding Present, and I was late to seeing the Wedding Present, and I saw Cinerama at a venue called the Y Club in Chelmsford.
Yeah,
and I was just like thinking, I can't believe I'm in this small little venue. That's David Gedge right there, and it was like, and I remember thinking like, I'm going to try and hang around afterwards and get him to sign a couple of my records, and I couldn't find him, and I was like, oh fuck it, come on, let's go. And so I walked down the stairs to leave. He was literally flogging t-shirts himself, and I was like, David Gedge, he's selling his own t-shirts. What's going on here? Like? And he was just, you just think, I love him even more. This is incredible.
Like for me, David Gedge, back in the day when I was growing up and in the band, wasn't as important as Dave Grohl and Kurt Cobain. Because he was making these records. Sea Monsters by Wedding Present, one of my favourite records of all time, and something I've tried to like replicate and steal on every record I've ever made ever since, and massively underappreciated, underrated outside of the UK and stuff. And I don't know, man. There's something so magical about how he sings. Cause I've played it to people and like, what the fuck's he singing? It's like, it don't matter. He's just going for it, and it's all about fucking horrible breakups, and it's all about fucking this and that and that. And he sounds messy as fuck, but listen to it. It's proper. Beautiful. It's actual proper. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, he's responsible for, but he's just as responsible as any other artist for me doing what I do easily.
Okay. Track 3. Song reminds you of your time at school.
Yeah. A bit of a weird one, this, because it's Drowned by Smashing Pumpkins, and I love Pumpkins, and Kiss and Siamese Dream were massive records for me growing up. Massive records. And Drown, I didn't hear until a mate of ours at school at the single soundtrack, because he thought he was a fucking cool kid, right? And he was like, he came in, played it to us, and there's this opening riff on Drown. And I was in. I'm like, this is fucking brilliant.
Yeah. That
this is on the soundtrack. It's mad.
You're breaking up a little bit. Sorry,
mate. Sorry.
Every now and then you're breaking up a little bit, but for people listening, they won't be aware of that because you're recording to separate audio as me. But so if you hear me sort of talking over Justin, I do apologise.
Okay.
But that single soundtrack was so. It just seemed to have the tracks that weren't on anything else. It was like, for me, it was like State of Love and Trust, like by Pearl Jam. I was like, oh, that's one of the greatest things I've ever done.
Yeah, why is it? Yeah, everyone's like State of Love and Trust. Everyone listens to Pearl Jam at the time. It's like, but no one could get hold of State of Love and Trust, that version. You know what I mean? Everyone knew that they had a version on there unplugged, and it sounded cool. But that version,
Yeah.
That was one of the best Pearl Jam songs of the period, and it's on a fucking soundtrack. And it's the same with Pumpkins. It's the same with fucking. It's the same with Drown. Drown's like one of my favorite Pumpkins tunes, and it's not on any of the fucking records.
I think they added a version of it
also
to like
Chris Season. Yeah, I think they did. Yeah,
they added it to a reissue of Gish. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking hell, the drums on Gish. I mean, that's something else. If you're talking big
crazy.
Drum sounds, fucking
absolutely crazy. But it was like, but my intro to Pumpkins always came from a Siamese Dream. That was my entry point at my age. You know what I mean? It was like, this is the best thing. This is one of the best things I've ever heard. Just the guitars are just fucking insane. And then hearing that. But again, I guess it's kind of, it's not just that song. That song is one of like 5 tunes on that record. Like Chris Cornell, Seasons by Chris Cornell is just like, you know, we all knew fucking Soundgarden and stuff, but when you hear that, I mean, that's still on lots of my playlists now. Yeah. Seasons by Chris Cornell is just a fucking masterclass in one guitar and one voice and making it sound unbelievable. So it was like, it was, I don't know, it's just one of those things.
I've not actually seen singles since it come out, and I remember at the time being really underwhelmed that it was actually quite shit.
Yeah. It's probably right. It's probably shit, but you know, but Cameron.
I think that
it's a good soundtrack, you know, a great track.
Yeah, I think like there was the other one that come out around then was the Judgment Night soundtrack, and you know that was a fucking dreadful film, but that soundtrack was fucking groundbreaking. It was every rock rap kind of crossover you could get.
That is brilliant. That is, you know, and I'm going to fucking write that down, and I forgot about that. I'm going to fucking search that out tonight. I remember a friend of mine's one of those. He was like the older kid in the group who played guitar better than everyone else, and he swore by the Judgment Night soundtrack.
It's a banger.
He'd never seen the film, but the soundtrack was fucking tip top.
Well, what's mad is it's got like all the kind of, you know, Faith No More and Helmet and Booyah Tribe and Onyx and like all these really hard sounding bands.
Yeah.
And then it's also got De La Soul and Teenage Fan Club doing Falling, which is fucking stunning. Well, I've lost you on video, Just. I can't see or hear you, mate.
Yeah, mate.
I totally lost you, and I couldn't see or hear you.
I've just flicked network, so hopefully it'll work better now.
Oh, right, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so we can drop back in on right. So what did you want to be when you was at school, and did you enjoy school?
No,
I hated it. I was good at it, but I didn't like teachers talking down to me. I went to a Catholic school, and it was just full of hypocritical bollocks from day one to the end. You know, I worked out pretty early that how do you square science when you're making us line up and do assembly every morning about fucking, you know, God made the earth in 7 days, and you know, and repent. It was a really bizarre school because you had assembly, and there was like loads of kids in the hall, and you have a normal school assembly about what's happening and stuff, and then they'd make you all shimmy around in your chair, and it'd open up into a big fucking like church, and you're like, this is fucking mad, and then be a, you know, an altar and everything. You're like, it's a fucking church, and it's an assembly hall, and it's a school, and you know. I've always been quite scientific. I've always been quite logic-based and fact-based in me thing. And I didn't come from a religious background either, so it was just nonsense to me. And
well, religion struggles when science gets involved, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it was just a massively hypocritical clash. And, you know, your science teacher's telling you at morning that, you know, we should all praise be thanks to the invisible man in the sky. And then in the afternoon, he's trying to tell you that this is how physics works. I'm like, well, you know, well, if that's how it works, why doesn't the fucking invisible man in the sky just make it different? You know what I mean?
Totally.
You know, I thought you could talk to him back then. You know what I mean? And so to me, it was. I just didn't trust, and not that I didn't trust. I just didn't believe any single one of my teachers. And the music department was a fucking joke, and it was just made up of fucking idiots playing hymns. And I just thought it was a waste. And
so was you playing music at that point?
Oh yeah, I was playing since like towards the end of the second year, third year. So I mean, what's that? Fucking
13.
Well, about 13 onwards, yeah, and just bands in mates' garages and people's basements and attics. You basically had whatever gear you could get, and you just made it work, and you know, and that's how it worked. And yeah, I think I was at Reading Festival in '95 when my GCSE results came in, and so I didn't even go to pick them up, to be honest. I didn't go much in the last year, but you know, I passed, so I just couldn't wait to get out of there. I thought it was a fucking joke.
Who was playing in '95?
'95 was the first fucking. Who was there? Stereo Lab, one of the best bands I've ever seen in my entire life live.
Yeah.
And still, I think it's because it was the first festival I ever went to. That I got dragged along to see Stereo Lab. Not really into it. Watched them live. I just couldn't grasp what was going on. Just
I reckon
fucking mad hurricane of noise. It was amazing. At
least once a week, I will watch Stereo Lab performing French disco on The Word. It's just fucking amazing. Incredible. It just thunders.
Yeah. So also in '95, it was the first Foo Fighters show.
Oh God, yeah, in the tent, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the Melody Maker tent. And then it was all the fucking Britpop stuff. A lot of that was on. It was like Gene. They had like the Melody Maker stage. I watched that. I actually really liked that. I thought they were fucking great at the time. Marion, who I fucking loved. I fucking adored Marion. Yeah. And such a shame that they didn't just fucking carry on and
it's so weird.
Smash it.
Because well, one of Marion's now in New Order, isn't he?
Yeah.
That I saw Marion at the Monarch. I think it was the Barfly at the time. In about 1990, when the first album came out.
Yeah.
And they come on, and his voice went after about 4 songs. Yeah. But then 4 songs, it was fucking incendiary. Like it was so good. Like I think like he come on to what's the one that starts with a harmonica, Sleep or whatever it was. Yeah, and
Sleep,
it was fucking awesome, mate. It was really, really good.
That album now, I mean, it sounds really thin, the recording now, but fuck me, man, they had some fucking tunes. I loved them. I absolutely adored them, and like early bands that are in, you know, there was like 2 bands that we fucking loved at that point, apart from Wedding Present, Nirvana, Pixies, and Breeders, was Marion, because we thought they weren't really like the rest of the Britpop crowd. No, you know what I mean? They were proper, and they were like, they'd tear through their stuff as well. It was great. And Posies from America.
Yeah.
We thought they were just massively underrated because they had fucking insane harmonies and insane tunes. And their album, Frosted on the Beta, is still one of my favorite albums of all time. That's in my top 5.
Did you ever hear any tracks from the second Marion album?
The
Mickey Go Hideaway, I think.
Yeah. They were all right.
Because that was Johnny Marr played on that.
Yeah. It's just he kind of his like, you know, very public descent into the fucking depths kind of took over from the band, and it was like, you know, I read quite a few stories about him over the last few years about what happened. So it was just fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
How you could be the guy who was, you know, essentially like fucking Bono trajectory. Yeah. You know what I mean? And his voice was incredible to fucking stealing from your mates. And it's like, it's fucking shocking. Yeah. So saw them in '95. You also see Neil Young with Pearl Jam as his backing band.
That'd do.
That was in 95. Soundgarden was 95. Pavement, Hole, Teenage Fan Club, Beck, Deus. Fucking
Deus,
great man.
Deus,
Yeah.
That's an intro. Suds and Soda by Deus. That's a fucking intro, mate.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely an intro. So it was a good a good year, that one. Really good year. But that was my first festival as well, which I fucking loved it.
I mean, that's a great one to break your duck at, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
First song you remember buying from a record shop?
That's Feel the Pain by Dinosaur Jr.
Nice.
It's only because I never had any cash, and I found myself, and my mate used to buy records all the time, and I used to take them off him. And found myself with a couple of quid. I think it was like 99p. Feel the Pain, and I can't remember the fucking B-side on it. I can't remember what the name of the song is, but it was a instrumental version where Jay Masters just solos all the way through over the top of an instrumental track.
Right.
So it was just mad, like guitar shredding over it, like constant from start to finish, just shredded all the way through this B-side. But Feel the Pain had like all the elements of all the music I loved in one fucking handy tune. You know what I mean? And Dinosaur Jr. just put them in the pile along with everyone else who I was into at the time. It was a no-brainer. It was like, oh, there's a new Dinosaur Jr. single out, and it's record shop in Donny called Track Records, and they had all the cool shit, and it was like, right, put it on. I'm like, fuck me, yeah, I'm into this. I'm having that. Took it home, learned it on a guitar. Probably tried to rip it off a million times since.
Well, were record shops like a hangout for you?
It wasn't so much hangout. I mean, I think it was later on, towards the end of the 90s, like 97 onwards, when I started like going to college, having a bit more money in my pocket and stuff. I remember buying Cornelius's Phantasma from a record shop on recommendation from a guy at a record shop. He's like, listen, you come in here all the time. I know what you like. You need to buy this record.
Is that the one with the orange cover?
Yeah. And it's just a mad piece of work.
Yeah.
A mad piece of work. And there's so many great moments on it. And so, I try to explain this to my son about how he used to go buy records. And he was like, just sounds like a ball ache going all the way to town to go.
I get where he's coming from.
You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's like, what, you mean you're going to go all the way to town, you're going to spend money on something that's only got 2 songs on it, and then you're going to come home and physically put it on a record player to listen to? And you're like, well, yeah. He's like, that's just fucking mad.
Yeah.
He don't understand. He just don't get it. But then I was trying to explain to him, I was like, the thing was, it's like, you went to the record shop so often, and if it's a small town like Donny, everyone knows everyone's in a band and what band they're in and what kind of stuff they're playing. And it's all the same people at the shows who go to the record shops anyway. So you go to this one record shop in town, and you can trust them. And you can be recommended. Pre-internet, being recommended music by someone who has watched you buy records for however long, and it was just nice to go in and you're open to it. You're like, fuck yeah, I'll have a bit of that. Yeah. And yeah, it's so and that's a sad thing. It's a sad thing that you don't have that kind of personalized kind of. It's just a fucking chat, man. You know what I mean? You go and chat about music, so nobody fucking chats about it. Everyone chats about numbers and algorithms. It's like, it's mad. It's everyone's trying to beat a mathematical equation. Nobody's sat there going, oh, you should really buy this because this. I mean, even fucking Pitchfork and people you'd expect to get the idea of talking about music in a way that will, entice people into actually listen to it is more about how much of a can I be in a review, as opposed to how good is this record or who should listen to this record.
I do think that as somebody that read the NME from maybe 90 to whenever it went, I mean, historically, there were some incredible writers at the Maker, and you know what I mean. But there was also some total cunts that would just ruin bands for the hell of it, you know. And it was like the Melody Maker liked you, right? Well, we're not going to like you, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's a weird one. I remember like going into like early mid 2000s when I was doing Milo records and stuff, and so, like people in bands from around the same region, like Maximo Park and stuff like that, and seeing them getting like fucking raised up on a pedestal on the first record. You know, it's a fucking good record, and rightly so. But then just the embarrassment of watching them get crushed on their second record because they fancied pushing it further. And it's like it stepped outside of the music press's neat little box, so they fucked him for it. And I'm like, well, that's pretty sad, really. But then it's kind of it's a very British story to pump someone up and then fucking kick them until your feet bleed. You know what I mean? And that's a very English way of doing things. And even on a scene level as well, and then on a local level, it's like you start out with bands. One of them gets big. That scene doesn't respect you anymore because you've gone off and done something. You're like, fuck this. I remember when I did Milo, I was living in Newcastle and I didn't really know anyone in Newcastle apart from the band. And I went over there for university and stuff. And I wasn't part of the local scene. And I specifically said to everyone in the band, I don't want to be part of the Newcastle local scene because, you know, what is that going to do? It just means we're going to play in Newcastle all the time. Fuck that. And I think our second show was a fucking Peel session. So I made sure it was like, whatever we do, we're geared to go out of the fucking city, out of the country, and that's how we're going to play this band. Yeah. We're not a fucking, you know, a band who's going to, you know, play 7 gigs a fucking week in front of your mates who are going to tell you you're amazing anyway. So, but I remember there being quite a lot of animosity towards us going off and just doing nothing because we didn't pay our dues and all that bollocks. And it's like, no, fuck that.
I think if any listeners ever want to know about what it's like being in a scene and then suddenly getting successful and the bands that left behind not liking you, watch the film Dig because watch what that done to Anton. But what you were saying there about whenever you sort of, you know, what you said about to reference what you said about Maximo Park. So when you approach writing a new editor's record, is that a consideration? You know, like how it's going to be interpreted outside of your following?
No, editors is a completely different beast. So really, like going from the bands I was in and the labels I was on before editors. So I'd gone through the major label mill with Your Codename Is Milo, and then we went to like a major indie, we signed to V2, and we went through that mill. And then my next project after that was the British Expeditionary Force, which is through Erased Tapes Records, which was just starting at the time, which is now like the fucking go-to place for all your composers and neoclassical and stuff like that. And then I went from there to editors. So I've been total journeyman by that point, you know what I mean? Been around the houses, been around the world a few times and stuff, and had some great times and worked with some amazing people. And editors is from the outside of editors looking in and being in another band and watching editors grow from, you know, this band who fucking played everywhere all the time, just gigged their fucking socks off, to like stepping inside the circle of it. It's just like a fucking, it was a breath of fresh air. They were more punk than most of the fucking punk bands or emo bands or any of those fucking hardcore bands I'd ever toured with here or in the States. I ain't give a fuck, give zero fucks about what anyone else thought. You know, and this is a band that have been, you know, consistently smashed by the press from day one to every record completely dragged down by the press. Never really been one of those pressy kind of bands, but every record they got bigger and bigger. And like a lot of people couldn't work it out. It's like, what the fuck's going on here? It's like we're getting bigger and bigger. And then I joined on record 4 and he was still getting bigger. Yeah. And but the way they went about it was, fuck it, we didn't give a fuck about it. We'll just go and make our records and we'll lose some fans, but we'll gain some. And we'll go out and we'll fucking tour it hard in a very old school kind of way, which bands by that point just didn't really know how to do that anymore. It was like, you know, how's fucking editors like doing arenas and stuff, and and not getting any press because we go to the fucking people and we play our songs and we put all our efforts into making sure every single live show is as fucking good as the next live show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Regardless of whether we're playing to like 300 people in Oslo or 35,000 people in Belgium. You know what I mean? It's like it's the same fucking show, and you're gonna get that same intensity. So it's like it was great going in because I got involved in them via because I worked with Flood on a record, and Flood did their like Synthy third record, and we kind of like I got drafted in that way. It's like, oh, you should just talk to this guy on the guitar because I think he'll be good for you. And I just rocked up, and that was that. And it was like just being in there was great though because it was like as soon as I worked out that they had a very similar principle to me, it was like fuck everyone else, just go and do what we want to do, and you know, that's how it should be. And they just done it on such a fucking grander scale than I'd ever been privy to anymore. And I was just like, fuck me, this is serious, really serious. And I initially got brought in to do some festivals, which were the biggest shows they'd ever booked. So they were headlining festivals in Europe. And like my fourth gig, I was playing in front of like 50,000 people. I was like, this is fucking insane. What's going on here? And it's just been brilliant ever since. You know what I mean? And now I've done as many records as the first original iteration. So it's good. It's really good.
Okay. Track 5. The song that soundtracked your years in clubland, and that obviously means Dirty Sweaty Indie Clubs as well.
Yeah. Right. This is in Doncaster, where I grew up. There's two nightclubs in this town. One of them, and most of the days of the week it was just fucking chart cheese. You know, regular regional fucking like top 10. Get your head kicked in. Cheap beer, get your head kicked in. Kind of thing, especially for like alternative kids. Yeah. But there's one night on a Tuesday at one of these clubs, and every kid who played a fucking guitar or wore a fucking jumper with holes in or a green army jacket or a Bundeswehr t-shirt, you could guarantee on a Tuesday night between the hours of fucking 9 o'clock and 2 in the morning, were there. Yeah. They were all there. And so we all congregated there, and he played, and the DJ, they knew they had an easy fucking crowd because they knew they were the same people who were DJing the gigs before the club opened. Yeah. So it's just like one party. So like you go and do a gig at like fucking Nag's Head or Tut and Chive, all your mates will be there. You have a great night. Yeah. And everyone knew it's like 30 seconds walk to the nightclub from all the pubs that we were playing at anyway. And then everyone would be there later. There was never really any kind of animosity or fucking fighting. Everyone was in their own like. It feels weird now going back to, because it's like if you were in a certain kind of indie band, that's what side of the nightclub you'd sit on. So all their tribes were together, but everyone knew people. So there was like some kids in indie bands who knew kids in like, like psychobilly, like American kind of punk kind of hardcore bands, and they sat over there. Do you know what I mean? But then the other guys who were more into dancey kind of, Chemical Brothers stuff sat over there, and. But everyone kind of knew everywhere, you know what I mean? So it was like... Totally know what you mean. I've run an alternative club for like 30 years. Yeah. And literally, the first time I ever walked in that club, I remember looking round, and it was exactly as you said. There was a stack of lads that wanted to be Robert Smith. There was a stack of lads over there that wanted to be Morrissey. There was a stack of lads over there that were into like Depeche Mode, wanted to be like Dave Garn and Nitzareb and stuff like that. And then there was all your kind of like your Gregos that were into poppies and stuffies and stuff like that. And it was like, there was just, it's not that tribal anymore. And I miss that. No, it was great. It was like, you could tell what someone was into by if they were wearing a velvet blazer or a green army jacket, you know what I mean? If they had a fishtail parky, you know what they were onto. If they were wearing like anything of like velour or velvet, then, they were just big Suede fans. Yeah. Who just hung on every fucking Morrissey lyric, and, they probably hated Gene because they weren't quite fucking the Smiths or something, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it was just great. But then no matter what fucking coat they wore or what haircut they had, if fucking Rage Against the Machine came on, they were all in the middle. Everyone was friends. And when the Prodigy hour started, or the like more techie dance hour, everyone was battered enough that we're all on the same dance floor. Yeah. Everyone was having a great time, and you know, the beer was shit. It was cheap. You didn't need much money, and you know that you were staying at your mate's house, whose mum would ring school the next day and tell them you're not coming in. Yeah. So everyone had, but it was so easy back then, and there's always a cafe to go to afterwards as well, like some bus station cafes, you know. And it was like this. It was the closest you ever get to that classic teen diner kind of all-nighter. Yeah. You know, fucking Linklater, John Hughes time. Yeah. It's the closest. That's what we had, and looking back to it now, it was pretty fucking close, man. It was just, it was very northern and very regional. And but the last song he used to play to kick everyone out was "End of a Century" by Blur. Yeah. And it just, every time I hear that song now, I can see the lights coming up. Yeah. And it's like everyone's absolutely fucked. Yeah. And it's like, right, shall we go and get a pizza? That was all it was. It's a great record as well. That's one of my favourite Blur tracks. Record. Really good. Great, you know, and Blur, I've always been a big Blur fan, so it was great. And it reminds me of meeting my wife as well. I met my wife at that club in 1995. Yeah. Probably to that song. So brilliant. You know what I mean? Crazy, perfect. Really. Track 6. Favourite song from an artist from your home county? All right, yeah. So county-wise, I thought you said country. You said it on the email. You're not the first, mate. You're probably about the 30th that's done that. Don't worry. Yeah. And county-wise, there's only one county over, so it kind of counts. And there's not that much, you know what I mean? That I thought it was worth jumping over the county border because it all kind of, Yorkshire's all one place, really, you know. And but yeah, it's Dalliance by The Wedding Present. Oh, great. Which again goes back to the thread on the first question you asked. It was just one of those records I knew who had recorded it because it sounded like all my favorite records. And this is when, you know, this band opened up a world of all kinds of. I wouldn't have done anything I've done now if it wasn't for this band. And this song is just a fucking great slice of alternative music. And I don't know what it is. There's something about it. And luckily, it must be about 10 years ago now, Channel 4 were doing something where they go to like, I think it was like a Jack Daniels-y type Channel 4. You know those music shows that happen where there's like 5 gigs and they'll have like pick a different band in each town. And bring them back to their town. One of them ones. Yeah, one of those kind of things. But it was a weird one. Anyway, what happened was Gedge happened to be doing this one episode in Newcastle, bizarrely, where I was living, and I got a call saying, "Oh, Gedge is doing something, and we know you're a massive Wedding Present fan. Do you want to do something with him?" I said, "I want to do Dalliance with him." And he's like, "Yeah, all right then." And Gedge was like, "Let's do it." And then I got to rearrange his song into more of a krautrock version. So it was like Stereo Lab doing Dalliance with Gedge live on stage singing it. And I was like, this is like up there with the RB and Peel session. Yeah. It was absolutely fucking amazing as well. And yeah, it was just like, I roped my brother in who plays in Minor Victories with me because he's a massive Wedding Present fan as well. And we like just made up this like little 3-piece for the night. And played Dalliance too, and made it really, really fucking heavy. And it was essentially like Dalliance, like in the style of French disco, with Gedge smashing it. Is that anywhere to be heard? Can I have a look? Actually, it probably will be. I'll dig it out. Because they did record it. Because it obviously got broadcast. So yeah, I'd love to hear that. I fucking loved it. Absolutely loved it. Oh, what a moment! Yeah, it's just another way. It's like when I get questions through like this. Because I never really get asked questions like this when I'm out on edit and stuff. It's always like, you know, depending where we are in the world or what kind of question you're going to get and how deep it's going to go. But when you get questions like this and it makes you look back to where it all started and you kind of remember these things that happened. There's like fucking loads of mental stuff that's happened over like 30 years. And you're just like, fucking hell, what's going on? You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's one of them. Final track. And you can play DJ now, mate. A song that many may not know that you would like them to hear. Right, this is quite a recent one. In recent, I mean, this I only got in to this record and into this song specifically because Tom Smith, editors, when we went off in 2015, or was it 2014? 2014-15 to make In Dream editors record, and it was just us, no producer, just me engineering, and we went to a place in the west coast of Scotland, and I remember Tom coming to my house, and I drove up from Newcastle all the way to Western Scotland, to like fucking Western Highlands, and he brought this he brought this Robert Palmer album up called Clues, and we stuck it on, and fucking hell, what a record! What an absolute insane record! There's about 17 different styles of music on it, and there's this one track called "Woke Up Laughing." Ah, it just totally blew me away, and it's just one of those. It's always on my playlist now. It's on all my playlists. It's just, I can't really describe it because it doesn't really fit any genre of music. It's just like this mad stream of consciousness lyrics over this bizarre, repetitive, almost Caribbean kind of backing track. It makes no sense. I heard there's 3 different versions of it, but that version on there, it's just mad. But there's something about it that's amazing.
I'd never heard it until you sent that over, and I went and had a listen. And the version that you sent over is far different to the one that's on like the kind of best ofs. It's produced completely differently. The other one's far more kind of glossy. It's a fucking batshit record.
The whole record though is just fucking mad, and it's like, and I think most of the tracks on there have been reproduced over time because it's quite an early album. Yeah. And the more croonery and like fucking big shot, slick fucking rock star he got, the glossy the production's got, and it's like all the tracks on there in where they are there, they just sound fucking mad. Like, I
think that was a big transition point, that album for him. I think like coming from kind of like doing Vinegar Joe stuff with Elkie Brooks and stuff like that to then kind of, going solo, and I think Johnny and Mary was quite a hit, wasn't it, off of that album?
Johnny,
and that's a fucking great record as well.
That is a fucking great tune, yeah. So
have you heard Placebo's version of that?
Yeah. Definitely. It's just a really weird, I don't know what it is. There's something about it that if that was out now, that someone's just looped something up on Ableton and sang onto it, and then just looped all because he essentially does spouts the same lyrics like 2 or 3 times, and it's the same kind of music underneath it. But that some fucker stood in the room and played all that. You know what I mean? And they probably played it all together, and they probably had a fucking time doing it.
Yeah.
And something about that where it's ever so slightly different, and it's not looped, but they're playing the same thing but different, and you're just like, it's fucking magical. And it reminds me of the time we were literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, it was like 30 minutes driving down a single track road to get to the nearest village and stuff. So fucking super. Like, I mean, isolation is like, you couldn't see anything. You could see the fucking nuclear submarines coming out onto the Irish Sea. That's pretty much all there was, that and mountains.
Yeah.
So, but it was fucking great. And that album definitely was the soundtrack to that part of my life. And that tune is the one that I go back to and listen to.
Well, what I do is I put a Spotify playlist together to accompany this. So if people should be curious by now to listen to that, then they can go over and check that out alongside all the other songs that we've spoke about, and obviously some of Justin's work as well. So when this lockdown subsides and a new reality resumes, what's on the agenda, mate?
I guess. Well, we were due to play shows this summer. I reckon by the time we get out of this, and it's however we learn to live with this or learn to eradicate this, really, isn't it? So it's like, at the moment, I mean, I can't see anyone going to a show, going to stand in a massive crowd, a load of people, unless it's some kind of medical intervention of trying to get away from the virus. You know what I mean? There's like, a lot of people who go to shows aren't going to want to go and stand in a room and get a fucking virus that could kill them or kill their parents. So, you know, rightly so. I don't want to fucking play in a show where someone's going to bring a virus that's going to fucking kill me or my parents or my friends and stuff. So it's like, I think everyone's just trying to work out how it all starts up again. I'm sure that when it does, editors will be fucking rip roaring to get out there again. You know, we've got unfinished business with these summer shows that we wanted to do, and so there's a starting point. I'm just working on a Minor Victories second record, so I want to get that out.
Do you mind me asking how you record those? Do you record those sort of independently, or do you all come together and record those?
Most of it, like the first one, I did the crux of it in my studio, and then my brother went up to hang out with Stuart in Glasgow to do their bits, and then brought the stuff back down into my studio, and then Rachel was remotely via the internet. And this time, which kind of makes it easier this time because we know how to do it, because we know how to work this. But this is how we work. We work in the way that everyone has to work now, so it's dead easy to just like fling parts around and, you know, and have the central spine of it down here where all the gear is and where I am and stuff. So that process is dead simple now because we've already done a record like that. So yeah, I've got that one to do. But I guess it's the whole of the landscape of music and how artists can afford to eat and live has to change. There has to be like some kind of, I think the industry is going to change, like beyond recognition. It has to. It just has to. Otherwise, you're not going to get music in the way that we get it now. You know, or we've always had it historically. It's like, you know, and as soon as this lockdown happened, effectively 90% of the industry got laid off. You know, and the live industry is just, you know, there's no such thing as a live industry as we speak. You know what I mean? Because it's fucking done. And you know, a lot of people, all the people that go, you know, there's more people behind the scenes than there is on the stage. Do you know what I mean? Exponential amounts of people put their lives into making shit work, and they're all out of a job. So it's like, right, so how are we going to, you know, you can't expect people to take 2 years off work with no income and then just go, oh, fuck it, yeah, we're back on it. No, everything's all right, sweet. So there has to be some kind of rebalancing of and kind of forward planning of, you know, what happens if this happens again. We can't keep, you know, fucking sacking off an entire generation of workers.
Yeah.
And because it's not just about having the people, it's the skills that they bring and the experience that they bring and all that. You can't just learn that shit overnight. So you need these people. If you want to go and see your festivals and want to see all your favorite bands in one place, then all the people who put that festival on and work that festival and make that thing work all have to be, you know, in work to do that. Otherwise they're fucked. You know, because they've all got kids and stuff as well. So it's really weird. And then the fundamental question of artists generally and the way that artists are remunerated for their work, you know, especially in the streaming world, it's like, you know, you get to a point where only rich kids can be in bands, and bands aren't about rich kids. Bands, you know, you get like, there was a fucking great article yesterday, and it's not just in bands either, it's, you know, across there's a brilliant article in the Quietus yesterday about housekeeping, that dance outfit, you know, investment bankers, you know, and it's like, all kinds of questions have been brought up by this virus, and it permeates the entire of the creative process, from film, music, class, identity. You know, I think when we come out the other side, when everyone stopped being really fucking angry at the Tories fucking us, which they're going to do anyway, is how do we appreciate the culture that we get? Because if you don't appreciate it, and at some point people just go, I can't be fucking asked to struggle anymore. And you're not going to get those amazing pieces of work, which we just talked about. Because you know, you can't have a Pumpkins in this world. You can't have a, you know, you won't be able to have them because there's no outlet and there's no way for them to make any money. And, you know, so
it's so strange because the industry, you know, through being in bands in the 90s, that, you know, that it appeared to be more support and more kind of, what's the word? Kind of, they'd invest in bands, that like if your first album didn't shift that, well, let's see what we can do with the second one. Whereas now, that second one don't happen. And it is. And it's the same, I've got so many friends that have tried to kind of, crack, acting and they're all from where I live, they're working class people. And it's like, they can't afford to live in London and go to auditions every day because they've got to go to work to pay their way. And it's like, there was no Benedicts at my school. I know that.
No.
They weren't a Cumberbatch in my history class.
No, but it's across the board as well, and it's really stifling because these are all the things that we all celebrate. But then, if we think about how it's made and how it got to that point, and really gave it the fucking credence and respect it deserved, then there'd be more of it. But at the moment, there isn't because, outside of the virus, if everything was still normal, it's still heading to that trajectory of you can only be Mumford and Sons. There's only the bands that are going to get through because they don't need to fucking, there's no struggle. They'll just fucking do it because they're sorted, they're set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not having a go at Mumford and Sons. It's how you are. It's where you were born, and but especially and that's why I set a label up purely for bands that I knew no other label would fucking put out. But they probably, back in the day, they probably would have got to record 3, and it would have been fucking brilliant. You know what I mean? And that is the industry I grew up in, and there's aspects of it that were fucking appalling as well, like there always will be. But at least people had a chance of doing something before they got fucking kicked down the stairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
So nowadays you can't even get to the fucking top of the stairs to get kicked down. So it's pretty rough, really.
Yeah.
And there's only so much bedroom electronica one person can take.
What a place to finish. Thank you so much for your time today, mate. I really, really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
All right, Chief. Catch you later.
Where are we?
There we go. I'll send you this web over. That's all right.
That'd be great. I really appreciate your time for doing that, mate.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries. My pleasure.
Do you want me to stick me